Hey viewers, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking ceramic tile floor. So we did the ceramic tile floor in the upstairs bathrooms, so I figured I'd show you what we did. First off, the tile that we picked out was we got it at a local company called Restore. It's a Habitat for Humanity kind of reselling store where they just sell a bunch of house building stuff, and usually at very cheap prices. So we got this stuff for under $1 a square foot. These are basically 12 by 24 tiles. I think the results turned out quite well. I cut and laid the tile, and then my wife and daughters grouted, and it turned out quite well, I think. So I want to show you and kind of talk about just laying ceramic tile floor in general. First off, what we put on the underlayment was a decoupling mat, and I don't think I did a video on this. I probably should have. It's a decoupling mat made by Redguard. There are a lot of companies that make it. I think Schluter makes one, and I think it's called Curdy. MyPay makes one called Aqua Defense, I think. This one was just the one by Redguard because it was a little cheaper, and we were on a budget. Let me see. Do I have any samples? No, we cleaned up. Sorry. So I don't have any samples to show you. Oh, yes, I do. Right here. Yes. Hanging out of the trash. Okay, so this is the mat. And so this side, this kind of fleecy side, goes down on the ground, and then you tile over this. So you basically throw down a layer of a thin set, and then you embed this mat in the thin set. So the thin set goes on the subfloor, then the mat goes into the thin set. Kind of embed it in the thin set, let it dry, and then depending upon if you want to just do decoupling or if you want to do waterproofing, there's some extra steps. We just did decoupling on this. And then you tile over this as normal. The idea by this is that if you attach a rigid tile to a rigid subfloor like this OSB that we have, when the wood moves, and it will move, right? Something has to give. The wood moves, the tile doesn't, so the tile cracks. With this decoupling membrane, it does just that. It allows the wood to move without just directly cracking the tile. So it allow your floor to kind of move a little bit and not crack tiles. So that is the motivation behind it. And it is another layer of, it's not necessarily waterproofing, but it'll help. It's not guaranteed, but it'll help versus not, right? It's another layer to your subfloor. So that's what we use underneath here. Here we chose to just do a 50% offset pattern. And one thing when you're laying tile, I laid all this out first and did all my cuts first. So I laid the entire floor out kind of dry before I mixed up any mud to make sure I like the patterns. I would highly recommend doing that, because the last thing you want to do is have mud that's, on the ground or in the bucket, and it's starting to dry, and you got to make a cut, and it's a complex cut, and then you screw it up, and then you have to do it again, and you're stressed. Don't do that. Make all your cuts first, make sure they're right, and then lay it down, and then it's just Legos, and it goes a lot faster. One thing I didn't do on this floor, and I did a little better job on the other one, was when I dry fit everything, I didn't account for the grout joints. I don't know why, but I did. Or I didn't. And so at the very end, I had some kind of trimming and ripping to do, because each one of those grout joints is 1/8 of an inch. So if you don't account for the 1/8 of an inch times however many rows, you're going to be a little off at the end. So just make sure you do that. You could use your tile spacers while you lay them down, right? Before you actually make any mud up. That is what I should have done. I'll do that next time. But yeah, so I think it worked out pretty good. Like I said, 1/8 of an inch grout joints here. A couple things. That tile got cracked there, but it's going to be covered by a vanity, so I really don't care. We chose to set the tile before setting the cabinets, mainly out of time necessity, because I could get the tile done while waiting on the cabinets. You can, if you have the cabinets already, put the cabinet in first, then tile around it. That's an acceptable alternative. So the choice is yours, depending upon how you're organizing your project. The other thing, and ignore the cracks on this because this was a little tricky, but if you need to cut a circle for the closet flange there, the trick I learned, thank you YouTube, was you grab a old circular saw blade, 7 1/4 inch circular saw blade, and the diameter of that is about perfect for a closet flange. So that is an easy way to get that cut done. So that's one bathroom. I'll show you the other bathroom, the Jack and Jill bathroom. Again, same tile. This one was a little more involved because we had to make the turn into the bathroom there. So you can kind of see. And the thing you want to do is you want to lay this out mainly so you are happy with the layout, so you avoid slivers, right? Where if you get to the edge and you have this little tiny strip of tile, so play around with the layout so that you can minimize those number of slivers. So in this case, what made sense for me is to start over here, do a full course, and then keep my pattern going into here. I had a lot more cuts to keep the pattern, as you can see, right? But I think it looks a lot better. And I still had to rip some tiles around the tub, right? And I still had to rip some tiles, you know, on the edge here. Again, all that's going to get covered up with cabinets. So that was another motivation, right? Is, well, I'd rather have my cut edge underneath the cabinets, right? Versus out here in the open. So think about those things as you're laying this out. And that's really about it. Be prepared. You'll have to undercut your jambs. So the door jambs there, you know, they're down to the floor, so to get your tile under them, you will have to, you know, cut out that jamb. What you use for that, what I use is one of these multi-tools, right? With the actual wood blade on it, right? And you can just plunge cut under those jambs and it works fabulously. Once you lay your tile, before grout, you need to clean up all the joints to make sure you have space for the grout. And there is only one correct answer as far as I'm concerned, and it's this. Grab one of these little grout cleaning blades for your multi-tool that you already have, because you have to undercut jambs. These blades are expensive. This thing was like 30 bucks. But to me, if I was doing one tile job, it's worth it. So I did two, and actually I'm gonna have more because I'm gonna be doing shower walls and such. Totally worth it, and you know, it'll probably last you a lifetime if you're a DIYer. So just buy once, cry once, get the right tool, and you will be happy. Other considerations, when kind of determining your edge of your tile here, I tried to hit it right at this door jamb line, because the idea being that for me, the ideal scenario is when this door is closed, if I'm in the bathroom, I want to see the tile and nothing else, right? I don't want to see the carpet on the other side. I want to see the tile, and that's it for a nice clean look. And then conversely, if I'm in the bedroom here and the door's closed, I don't want to see tile. I want to see carpet going up into whatever the transition from tile to carpet's going to look like, and that's it. So that, to me, is your ideal state of what you're shooting for a presentation on this. And mocking it up with the door, that is what I kind of went for. And that's not perfect, you know, but it is going to look. So you can see here, right, that from that look here, right, you can't see any carpet. It's just, it looks like it's tile going off into an infinity beyond the door, which is kind of the look you want. And then, of course, you open it, right, and then let's see. I actually don't know what this is going to look like. It's probably going to overhang a little bit. Yeah, it's overhanging just a little bit, right? So ideally, I would see the carpet up to the edge and a transition piece and then no tile. That's what I would like to see. I don't know what will actually happen, so we'll see. But that's the general idea that I went with. So that is about it for tile. Definite shout out to my wife and daughters, because they did a phenomenal job grouting this thing. This was only, I guess, this was floor number 3 and 4, or no, 2 and 3 of what I've ever done. I've only done this one other time. So it's definitely a learning process. Tools I used a wet saw, just a Ryobi wet tile saw for all the cuts. And that works very well. I'd recommend that. And I did all my cuts outside. I did not bring the tile saw up here. Even though it's a wet saw, it's still messy. Just not as messy. So I decided to take a little bit of time. I know I was running up and downstairs making cuts, but I also kept all the mess outside. So definitely a plus if you're doing this in a remodel situation versus new construction. So that's it. I think, yeah, that's all I got for you today. Thank you for watching as always, and we'll see you in the next video.